Welcome back to The World Over. In May, Pope Francis said he referenced a visit from extraterrestrials, create an interesting opportunity to discuss the relationship between faith and science. Are the two in opposition? Joining us tonight is a man who has literally pondered the mysteries of the heavens as part of his job. He is an astronomer at the Vatican Observatory and the president of the Vatican Observatory Foundation, a Jesuit, and the co-author of the new book, Would You Baptize an Extraterrestrial? We're delighted to have joining us Brother Guy Consolmagno in studio. Great to see you, brother.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I want to start with this notion that people have, that there's a conflict between faith and science. You don't see it that way.
Well, of course not. I mean, here I am. I've got a collar and an MIT ring, which proves you can be at the same time a fanatic and a nerd. and I am. I'm something of a nerd about my religion, but I'm a fanatic about my science. And I am. I'm something of a nerd about my religion, but I'm a fanatic about my science.
And I am. I'm something of a nerd about my religion, but I'm a fanatic about my science.
And what people have to remember is that science came from the church. What people have to remember is that science came from the church.
What people have to remember is that science came from the church.
Yep.
It was invented in the medieval universities.
Yep.
It was invented in the medieval universities.
Yep.
It was invented in the medieval universities.
It was invented in the medieval universities.
Şimdi onun ardılı, onun aynı zamanda bir dönem hani ondan elde almış olan Neil deGrasse Tyson var.
The Earth isn't flat. And by the way, this is called gravity. From the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, and beaming out across all of space and time, this is Star Talk, where science and pop culture collide.
I really love the idea that science and pop culture.
So exciting.
So exciting, man.
Tonight's topic, science and religion. And so we combed the landscape, and we found a Jesuit priest.
And that is always what happened. Every time you look around, you find a Jesuit.
This is the academic order of the Catholic Church. And we have with us Father Martin. Welcome to Star Talk.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Solo quiero mandar un saludo a los jesuitas, que la Compañía de Jesús es un brazo científico importante de la Iglesia Católica y que de hecho su progreso tremendo, el de los jesuitas, contribuyeron a nuestro entendimiento a la medida del universo.
And that is the key thing, because the Jesuit order bring the understanding and the measurement of the universe.
Contribuyeron a nuestro entendimiento a la medida del universo. Contribuyeron a nuestro entendimiento a la medida del universo.
Following Copernicus' publications, it is probable the Jesuit order has produced more astronomers than any other demographic in Europe. That, ostensibly, a religious order should produce so many scientists should cause surprise. However, as these scientists have focused nearly exclusively in but one area, this gives us reason to question.
I believe there's a God because a couple things. You know, when I did DMT, I thought, okay, there's way more shit to this reality, this dimension that's out there,
seeing
for
all
sure.
The time.
And then the more I get into trying to find out what we're on and what this is all about, and then you look at the mainstream. I think someone created what we're in. Whatever you think this is.
Thinks a simulation?
I think this is something. I don't believe in simulation.
Me neither.
There's no evidence. But it could be true. It could be, but there's zero evidence. How do we even know if that even happened? Like the theory is billions of years ago, out of nothing, everything exploded.
What do you think happened?
Well, you know who came up with it.
Are you becoming religious on me?
You know who came up with it.
Oh, dude, if you start talking about Jesus, Eddie.
No, you know who came up with the Big Bang? You can look this up right now. The Big Bang is
Hitler?
a priest from the Vatican. A priest came up with that. It was a theory.
Scientist didn't?
Nope. A priest.
Are you sure?
1,000,000%.
Jesuit-trained Belgian priest Georges Lemaître is the father of the so-called Big Bang theory. The idea that first there was nothing and then it exploded. He was a close co-worker of just such a Jewish puppet, Albert Einstein. Einstein bolstered the Jesuit cosmology with his convoluted theory of relativity. The problem was that observations of both scientists and laymen weren't matching what so-called astronomers were telling us.
Bu Pitagorcular dediğimiz gibi bütün kainatı matematik açısından görüyorlar. Bakın dikkat edin, burada gözlemden ziyade matematik güzellik var. Yani benim babam 2'de 1'de elegan derdi matematik. Rahmetli Mustafa İnan da öyle dermiş. Elegan olacak çözümler dermiş. Bu matematikten baktığın zaman doğadan kopuyorsun. Çok ilginç. Mesela bunlar Pitagorcular ilk defa dünyanın küre olduğunu düşünüyorlar. Bir gözleme falan dayanmıyor. Çünkü küre en mükemmel şekilde. Bizim dünyamızda küre olmalıdır diyorlar. Fakat ilginç olarak bunlardan bazıları dünyanın güneş etrafında döndüğünü düşünmeye başlıyor. İlk defa o zaman bu laflar, mesela Aristarkos, Samoslu Aristarkos'un bunlardan bunu aldığı düşünülüyor. Şimdi
dünyanın ilk defa dönüşü Pisagoras'a gidiyor.
Evet, yani. Çok elter. Yani. Pitagor'un 2 öğrencisine gidiyor.
Kime öğretiyor? Kime öğretiyor bunlar bunu?
Abicim onu bilmiyoruz. Çünkü böyle ifadeler var. Dünya kendi etrafında döner.
Yani şimdi denizciler hala biliyorsun değil mi? Güneşi döndürüyorlar etrafımızda. Yani gemici takımı hala güneşi bizim etrafımızda.
Tabii hesabı daha kolay.
Hesabı daha kolay ve yani hele böyle gidiyor. Şimdi o zaman için zaten herkes gemici yani. Böyle bu adamların dünyasında başka bir şey düşünülemez.
Fakat işte bu adamlar teorik bir alemde yaşıyor Pisagorcular. Onun için de böyle dini bir tarafı var.
Hikayeleri var işte.
Çok ilginç yani bu. Bir de estetik çok önemli bunlarda. Yani işte küre en güzel, daire en mükemmel. Hep bunların peşindeler. Onun için bunlar bizim İyonyalılar tarafından şiddetle eleştiriliyorlar.